Thank you guys so much for sticking with us, or if you are just joining now, thank you for tuning in. We just saw game number 1, and we're going to take a look at some replays there between Dignitas Academy and FlyQuest Academy, and I kind of have a feeling it's just going to be like a Dignitas Academy highlight reel, but let's take a quick look here,
Yeah.
Alk.
Yeah, it was just a bunch of plays that went wrong for FlyQuest. I think you see right here, we've talked about this play before, but Dignitas, they just kept finding answers. Anytime that FlyQuest wanted to make a move, Dignitas had a great counterpunch set up for themselves. And we had talked about it during the game, but the draft did not lend any favors for FlyQuest, as Dignitas were just able to constantly make plays under the top side, stonewall Philip from being able to get him into the game. And the Akshan pick, as much as I love it, was more so a symptom to a problem, more so than the cause of it. Just constantly good roams from JJ and Will, who have found success so far in Academy this split, and are just looking so strong. All members of Dignitas.
I think JJ has been underrated for a while now, especially if JJ is able to get this Alistar. I haven't seen positioning like that from support, consistently, at least for quite a while here. And there we can see just how much that Akshan was able to do here, not just with the heroic swing, but utilizing the passive. I mean, gosh, Lorlo popped up very, very heavily. But I think you're right there, Alex. It wasn't just that it was an Akshan. It was just the fact that Akshan was picked towards the very end of this matchup, and it was really just a good response to the Jace.
It could have been any champion. It could have been literally any other champion, and it probably would have done the same, just because Twisted Fate is so good right now when you want to be able to play the top side. There's just... This champion probably could have been Ornn, and we could have seen pop-off performance from Orlo.
I mean, yeah, are you kidding me? Ornn's busted.
Yes.
But, and I talked about how Lorlo's just got a huge champ pool here. We saw, this is the fight where it was just Dignitas really responding immediately after Saligo ended up going down. Look at Lorlo dodging some of the aggression there from NXI, though, with his heroic swing. So dang impressive there. We can see the comeuppance come through, and then you can hook shot. You didn't even have to hook shot, or not hook shot, but I keep calling it that, even though it doesn't play the same at all.
There are 3 control wards!
Yeah, I'm surprised that we actually didn't comment on that. I think it was more of this Destiny's Gate that came through, as well as JJ. Philip. You see that piercing arrow come through, Spawn's like, me. Not quite enough time, though, because, at this point in the game, we had a 22-minute game, and there was like an 8K gold lead at like 13 minutes, which is absolute insanity. That is not a place. I keep leaning forward when everybody gets to see my casting pose, which is like way up in the screen. So we got to consider going into this next one. FlyQuest Academy did once again pick the red side, so they're looking for the counter picks. Now, my big question has got to be, and I brought it up before we took that short break. My big question is, what do you do with your bans this time? Because FlyQuest put all of their focus into banning out Lorlo on the top side, and it didn't matter. They ended up picking the Rise early on, which allowed for not just, you got a counter pick into the Twisted Fate, or at least a good matchup there for Saligo, and then on top of it, having the Akshan there to really just reinforce that. So maybe a few more heavy initiators, maybe a few more members with some survivability as opposed to just straight damage, like the first 3 picks that we saw from FlyQuest might do them a little bit of good.
That has been their answer more frequently on red side. Now, they have chosen red side again here for FlyQuest Academy, so we wonder if they'll do it again, but their priorities has really been pick the Rise if it's not banned, specifically on red side as there are one, and then go for some kind of AD carry. And with Varus being so prominent, I think that obviously hiding for your support is really, really good. Now, we have to take a look at like what will change between game 1 and game 2. We saw Thresh was banned. We saw now, again, Ziggs was taken away. I don't expect these things to change. But on the opposite side, for Philip, or for FlyQuest Academy, they banned 3 top laners. They wanted to get rid of the Aurelia, they wanted to get rid of Camille and Gnar. And obviously, we saw that this was to try to protect the Jace lane. Now, what does he play this time? Is it going to be back to Aatrox's duty? We're going to try something else? Or leave up a few of these top laners so that they can pick it for themselves and go for a little bit of a different top lane matchup?
Yeah, potentially going for something like I like the Aatrox early on. That is something that has been really successful here for Philip towards the top side, but it has also been more of, an initiation-based team, because we've seen like the Trundle very, very often paired up for FlyQuest Academy with that Aatrox. So if you get that combination once more, I think that could prove to be really, really useful for FlyQuest Academy. But it's, again, starting with those survivable members that are a little bit harder to counterpick. You know, you don't want to early on pick this Jace who's easy to counterpick into. And it took Dignitas quite a while to decide to lock in that counterpick. I think the second to last pick is, if not the last pick, I can't remember if it was Alistar or the Akshan there.
It was
top side.
Akshan Alistar.
Okay, yeah.
It's just Twisted Fate. Ban this champion. I already tweeted at FlyQuest earlier. Just ban this champion, guys. Like, if you're not going to first pick it, so far the answer has not been found. A lot of teams have already, we've seen Dignitas find a lot of success with it on their academy squad, and worldwide teams are continuing to find success. Twisted Fate, port out, especially if you're going to play a carry matchup. If you're going to play a tank matchup in the top lane, you can somewhat neutralize that ability just because it's less appetizing for them to go top lane. But if you're not going to ban it, pick it. Do something with it, because Twisted Fate is so dangerous, especially in the hands of Celico, who already said is such an incredible selfless top mid laner and has just continued to be one of the driving factors for this team.
And I think, you know, with that, they picked the Rise, obviously. They prioritized the Rise over the Twisted Fate. The problem with that is as we get into Baft Dran. All right, it's already starting as a great start to the day. Draft ban phase, if I can speak correctly. Going into this, you know, either ban that out or, you know, swap it, kind of, you know, ban out the Rise, go for the TF. That would be another option that you have here. But with the blue side early pick on Dignitas Academy, I can't imagine that being their first pick, honestly. Varus is an exceptional first pick. I think anybody that has the opportunity to pick up Varus as a first one, there's no reason you should not. It's a very difficult champion in terms of ADC to find. Like, there's no real precise, easy counter. If you really play Varus very well, then, you know, those piercing arrows are going to do so much from the very start to the very end of the game. And so I think that's something that Spawn and JJ focus on heavily. There's going to be the Rise ban. So we'll see if FlyQuest Academy does what I was just kind of hinting at, of banning out the Rise and then picking the Twisted Fate early on. That gives them a little bit of opportunity. Obviously, not that we, you know, haven't seen a TF have counters of his own, but it at least limits what Celico is able to do, especially with Roam, because those are very, very mobile champions. You got semi-global ults for both of them, and both of the teams were really focusing on going that way in terms of their competition. So it's going to be exact same 3 first bans from Dignitas Academy, just like you had considered or anticipated out. And it will be the Twisted Fate and the Rise. So they're actually not going to allow either one of those in, meaning we might see some of the, you know, I don't want to say less orthodox picks. We've been seeing quite a bit of Syndra popping in. But we've seen actually a bit of Silas as well, I think coming from Triple, if I'm not mistaken, on that one. So, you know, so some opportunities here to mix things up. I'm curious to see if, okay, it is going to be the Varus. Excellent lock in here. Felios is open. The Viego is also still open. It is going to be a Felios and Xin.
All right, so Dignitas, what you can do here is you can just pick Trundle and you can pretend to flex it into support role. I don't think JJ has shown a Trundle support so far. That's really just been a Golden Guardians Academy exclusive. But I would love to see it. It's a great matchup into this, and would be something still inevitable to carry. I'm going to wait for him to lock it in because I don't think Will is going to do this. But we're looking at the mid pool. Azir is still available, and both Celico and Triple have put so many games on this champion that I wouldn't be surprised when we're talking about control mages and with Twisted Fate and Rise gone. This is kind of something that they would sort of lean to.
Certainly an opportunity for them here, but it is going to be the Trundle, as you had kind of considered there just a moment ago. And, you know, we've seen, I mean, coming out of Dignitas, I gotta say the Camille is still up there and available. Celico's going to lock in the Rakan. So JJ anticipating really showing dreams up, saying, all right, go ahead, pick the Alistar, you know, pick something else, and I'll show you what to do on Rakan here. Triple covering many, many champions.
Yes.
Because again, these pools available right now for, in particular, these two mid laners are just so darn deep, and it will be the lock-in for the LeBlanc here. So you've got quite a few, you know, opportunities for that. We've seen Dignitas take the Malzahar, I believe, into the
Yeah.
LeBlanc in the past. I think that was TSM where they reverse swept them, and that worked
Oh,
out
that's a good
really well in their
match.
favor.
That was a good
Such a good
match.
matchup. Such a good matchup against, yeah, TSM Academy. So we'll see if they decide to do something like that, but the bans still have to come through. Lysandra is the other one that Syndra and Lysandra have actually kind of been picked as well by Sligo. Just taking anything, and, you know, if it has something that can tie in to any win condition, Dignitas will manage to make that work with Sligo.
He has looked pretty good on basically a lot of counter champions, and I like how Dignitas tend to play it. Is as soon as they do this, he's not afraid to just drop some ego and just play Lysandra, play a Malzahar, talking about wanting to play the counter matchup. Triple on this LeBlanc feels a similar role to what we've seen before. It kind of makes Siligo not want to try to hover the Azir a little bit later on, but when we're looking at this, feels a similar role to something like a Rise, where very strong on side lanes when you're looking at a very long lane, can use the distortion to both get away and engage. So now for both of these teams, you see that they're starting to protect the top side. You have Camille banned, Jace banned, Dignitas. What are they trying to go for? Because we saw Aurelia banned last game by FlyQuest, and I wonder if Dignitas Academy are going to be the ones to kind of pick it up, as FlyQuest are going to have to blind pick, and it's going to be for their support. So, or not blind pick, but they're going to have to pick for their support, so they want to try and save counter for Philip.
We'll have to see. They've been running, I mean, there hasn't been a lot of variation in terms of Dig's jungle as of late. I gotta say, you know, we've been seeing a lot of the Viego and a lot of the Xin here for Dignitas. So I think that's going to be another big point for them that they're going to have to try to figure out here. The Leona is going to hover there. I'm not surprised that that's not locked in there.
Wow.
But it is the Renekton for Philip. So that's you know, I mean, you know, the Gnar ban is a great one. Gnar is just a counter into so many good bruiser top laners. But Lorlo, I think, wants to go damage heavy anyway, just based on the fact that we've got the Trundle and the Rakan picked up here for the second and third picks. However, I did talk about that Syndra. That was the first one that I brought up that Saligo might be able to run through. And there it is. The damage might just be selected one more time because you have enough of an initiation, potentially with the other two. It might not be the lock, you know, it's not necessarily the best pick here, but I think it really threw off FlyQuest Academy. I just don't honestly think that they played against really solid Akshan, at least Philip being a and look, they're gonna prove just how good Ornn is. I am actually amazingly stoked at that. So that's even more initiation available on the side of Dignitas Academy. FlyQuest Academy, it's a little more particular once more, just like the last matchup. They're gonna need to find at least some early advantage, one lane, hopefully for Triple there in the mid side, that they can get some pressure on, because I mean, it's gonna end rough for them. Again, these champions that they picked, the Renekton does not recover very easily. You know, Aphelios a little bit more so, but I really like what Dignitas is bringing in here, and I love the fact that they locked in that Ornn. You got Trundle, you got so much front line, and then so much follow through from Salico and Spawn.
As soon as this Braum was banned, I was like, okay, well, they're just setting up for Ornn, right? Like, they have to just go for Ornn here. They wanted to get rid of topside. They want to get rid of like a pretty okay matchup that Jace can kind of just sit in for them. And with Braum gone, they said, okay, Ornn is really good for us here. I think it's a little strange that Renekton was picked so early on when they still ended up going for Leona. Maybe internally they're like, we don't really know if we want to go for Leona here, depending on what the topside matchup is. So maybe force it, but I still think Renekton feels a little bit weird here in the draft. We'll have to see how Philip is able to execute. Renekton, I think on the chopping blocks this patch coming up, kind of sad for 11-18 what they're doing to this champion, making it, the stun is a little bit lower. You're getting rid of a lot of the ability for this champion in professional play, but we're on the last remnants of Renekton here, and Philip wanting to prove his mettle, wanting to show off against Lorlo, who, I mean, has, for the most part, when we're talking about last split, some of the Dignitas Academy members did not have a fantastic spring split. They had a pretty early exit in Proving Grounds last time, but this time around, I think all of the players have really grown into their spot onto the team, and as a team, grown together a ton. Lorlo being able to not only flex the Akshan, play a little bit more aggressive in the top lane before, but Spawn, JJ, even last split there were some questionable moments for his support play, but has really come into his own alongside Spawn. And I mean, we'll be able to see some of the flexibility. We'll see that kind of pay off here, hopefully, for Dignitas as they look to try and make their mark and continue on in the upper bracket here in Proving Grounds.
Certainly looking to close this one out as a 2-0. We were kind of talking about how this might be the closest matchup for today. But after that first game, you know, I'm having a lot more confidence in the follow-up. Not that I don't have confidence in FlyQuest Academy. I absolutely adore this team. I just think given the state right now of how much Dignitas has grown, cohesion is a word that I bring up a lot with this team. Or really just a lot in terms of teams that have had kind of a stable roster, or a somewhat more stable roster than the opposing team. And obviously FlyQuest Academy has had a lot of swap arounds, a lot of changes.
Okay.
It's a good opportunity because they have a amount of damage here, but right there, with the Dreams getting taken down almost to half. I'm assuming the Q was taken there, but it didn't actually land because Leona wasn't able to get close enough to get an auto down.
She took a ton of damage, and we'll have to use a pot, which means Leona probably for the most part is going to be fine. We're also going to be seeing the biscuits start to kick in over time. Shouldn't turn into anything significant, but over time, if they're continuing to lay harass down onto Johnson and to Dreams, should end up good for Dignitas Academy's bot lane. You see how aggressive they're playing. They want level 2. They want to try and stifle this ability from them. If they get level 2, Aphelios level 1 is really, really just not playable at all. You don't have an ability. You simply have an additional 8 AD from your passive. It's not much doing there.
It's not. You need to get a little bit more, honestly, instead of just waiting for that, it's not RGM, because obviously there's a style to it, there's rotation to it, but trying to wait and hope you get the right gun since your attack speed is so low. Get a little bit of additional damage to get that down, but especially when you got Creed taken so low early on, you got the guns available to both of those players. A lot.
Wait a minute, this is a kill.
Triple here. Will coming forward as well. The flash over the wall. Will follow it up with a flash of his own and take first blood right there at 3 minutes.
And Trundle is, I mean, this is really great pathing, and also I think an overextension from Triple here, trying to land some damage, but Saligo, who has time and time again shown great play on these control mages on Syndra, is just doing a fantastic job up against LeBlanc, getting to force the teleport now, and with a first blood there, it's going to kind of throw off some of the jungle pathing here, because you see Will has cleared 5 camps, ganked mid, took this bottom side scuttle, and is now able to protect spawn and JJ. Whereas now, without a lot of vision, NXI has to be a little bit worried potentially for Johnson and Dreams.
Yeah, things coming out right there. Recognition. I mean, Philip does have this lane pressured pretty hard, which is the expectation for this matchup early on. Lorlo has a lot of comeback ability, though, and that's really going to be the struggle there. A beautiful scout of the week from Saligo to prevent Triple from actually landing the chains right there. Not going to be more than that. And aside from Will going in, now with that flash down, it's probably going to be some pretty standard rotation for him, if anything, moving towards the bottom side here, because you have a lot of vision spread out from Dignitas towards the lower half of this river here. And we've got about 45 seconds on this Dragon Infernal Drake. High priority for both of these teams. Get a little bit of disadvantage right there. How powerful Thorn really is. I mean, for being such a tanky boy, he does a lot of damage, and Will manage to get there without a problem. It's going to pop him onto Johnson, who has to flash away along with the Ignite right there. Dreams have to walk around the pillar here. The piercing arrow will not land onto Johnson. It's going to be a beautiful amount of damage though from Johnson. Gets the lockdown on the 3. Oh, just a bit of back and forth, and that should be that.
They really wanted to get this wave in here. You saw that, hey, we know NXI is going to be topside. You see the wards here. NXI is just trying to steal camps where he can. Lorlo and Saligo will now catch him on the outside as he exits the jungle. And if they tab, they'll see, hey, he has an extra camp. I was wondering if Dignitas, if maybe they had gotten out a little bit healthier, if maybe they didn't have to invest, maybe if Will was able to, they could have gone for an early Drake there since they know NXI is topside. But instead, this is really cheeky, I think, from Dignitas Academy. They're going to be able to reset. They're going to come back out onto the map. And now with Will naturally pathing towards the bot side, I wonder if this is going to be the start of them taking the Dragon first, or they're going to look for a play in top side. You already see Dreams is making a rotation. Maybe they can try to protect this mid lane.
You've got pings coming out from Dignitas Academy towards that, recognizing, hey, we don't have any more vision up. We just had a recall come through from our bottom side. We're going to try to pressure that as quickly as possible, return to that area as quickly as possible. But a little bit of priority going over to FlyQuest for this.
They see each other.
Johnson, and yes, they do. You do. You got the sweeper right there. Dreams and Will just kind of playing over the wall, and it will be a
Will no flash.
over that. Will doesn't have flash. A little bit of a BM there as JJ decides to go in, but Saligo does so much damage there with the ultimate, going to take down another one.
That's a good punish. They know, hey, Will playing on the edge of danger. He's like, my team is coming. I shouldn't die here. Rakan, JJ with another great performance, able to read the play, say, hey, look, they're probably going mid. We want vision anyway of this river, so let's just go for it. I love that. Getting a kill on the Dreams, forcing out the Ignite, and now they just can continue to have control. And with Johnson without flash, without cleanse, is in a really dangerous spot up against the Trundle and up against this Rakan. So this should be Dignitas' side of the river, and Dreams is back, so they could try to make some kind of return play, but it would be incredibly desperate from them, and it'd be an unnecessary kind of flip for resources here as both teams kind of just idling in the river.
Philip there, trying to move up. We got to move on to Lorlo, but the wards are in that bush for both members here.
Look at how JJ is just choking out Dreams. Can't walk up.
And it's going to be the sweeper utilized. No ward was actually placed there. It was just JJ being easy about positioning, preventing Dreams, or really forcing Dreams to question whether there was somebody else in that bush, what was going on here.
They have to back up here. What are they doing?
Will is going to go in and out the pillar. NXI is on the way in, but Johnson takes so much damage from the piercing arrow. JJ trying to follow that one up. They're going to have to switch over to NXI.
PP.
Johnson swapping weapons, and the teleport comes through from the top side. Will is still very low. The flash forward from NXI as the Dominus also comes out onto Phil, who gets popped up not once, but twice. In comes Call, the Forge God. It will be taken by Lorlo right there. Manages to pop up NXI, but Dreams, NXI, and Johnson realize they have to disconnect from this fight. That is the most they can take from it. It's 1-for-1.
Still good kills, and being able to draw teleports from the top laners is important there. Philip going down does hurt the laning phase right now. I think if we could get a pan over to the top side, actually, I just want to see where that wave is, because now that Philip has teleported away, thank you, observers, I just want to see where it is. It is going to slowly push in favor of Philip, but it's kind of stuck right there, and you already see that Trundle is going to start pathing his way up top lane. You have Saligo, who's even able to kind of sit in river and stay in Fog of War. Philip has to kind of take a seat for a moment, say, if they're there, I'm going to die. I don't have teleport, and I may have to invest my flash. This is a dangerous proposition now, and I think this is really important for NXI and Dreams to be able to roam out into the river, get vision, be able to protect their Renekton.
Protect the Renekton. Definitely a good point of this game. Saligo is going to get some help from JJ here. The blast cone used by Will to try to get into position. Dreams is sitting in this bush. Neither Dreams nor Will is really aware that the other is there.
They know they're in
JJ
here.
Pushing forward. There it is. It's going to be a hex flash forward from Dreams, who gets hit under the tower here. The nice pillar allows for Dreams to take another tower shot in favor of Dignitas, and there it is. Saligo going to throw down with a beautiful unleash power, picking up the kill right there. Need a pressure in this mid lane, and hey, they'll take that as a win.
And both supports recognize how important this mid lane matchup is right now. That Scatter the Weak potentially could have been a kill onto triple, if not a summoner spell. But they know how important the mid lane matchup. Yeah, exactly. It has a chain of corruption. The problem here now is that Dreams is really losing out on a little bit of experience now with each and one of these deaths. At least if they can get level 6, I think Leona has a little bit more, some more answers potentially into this game. But without that long-range engage amongst the kind of squishier members, getting the flash out from Saligo is the best that they could have gotten in that trade. So now going down 2,000 gold up against Dignitas. How many plates can they get from the bot side? Because now Philios, level 7, getting some alone time with the turret and some of the experience. This is really important for FlyQuest if they want to stay relevant in this one.
If they decide to do anything here, Spawn needs to be aware that there's only not just the one member here. Well, you got this much pressure from Johnson. I think Spawn is very understanding that somebody else has got to hear it here. So Dreams pops out, maybe trying to allow a little bit more pressure from Spawn, saying, all right, they know that Dreams is here, but they might not know that NXI is here on. We're going to pull up a lot of plays. The Chains of Corruption comes through. Will be cleansed, though. Cleanse still available there from Spawn. But that is a lot of gold going over to the pockets right there up the lower side of FlyQuest Academy.
That's really important that they got the cleanse, because now they can revisit this lane. And look at this. Trundle off of reset is just running straight into the bot lane. NXI has to know that this is coming, is immediately making the move over, but will actually instead do Gromp. They want to make a pick here on a JJ. They're level 6.
There it is. Oh, much damage onto Johnson right there. It's going to be JJ moving in with the quickness, getting the
Oh,
one
he's
charm,
dead.
following that up with the grand entrance, a flash away from Johnson. It's going to be the ultimate to follow it up, but it will be the pillar that manages to lock that one down. Another kill in favor of Dignitas. FlyQuest did not get anything in response to it.
It is so hard to play Aphelios, not only into Trundle, but also now Rakan on top of that. The slow, the displacement, it now forces Triple to TP out of the mid lane, and it gives them complete control for Dignitas Academy to take control of the river, take control of mid lane. Aphelios has to go to match it, but with no summoners, no ultimate, this is getting increasingly difficult for FlyQuest to be able to continue this. They're going to Crash Herald for some plates and grab this Drake, I assume. Philip is making his way down. Lorlo has reset and could make his way over here. But Dignitas, they want money and they want it now, and they're getting it for free almost.
I want my money and I want it now.
Exactly.
There's an ad for that actually. Be a sponsor
Somewhere
here for FlyQuest or Dignitas, honestly, as FlyQuest is going to have priority on this dragon. They're starting it up, but with a lot of trepidation, not knowing exactly. They saw the one recall there from Dignitas. They are going to commit to this position. Picking up tier 4 FlyQuest Academy, launching the fleeting a little bit that has been delivered so far from Dig, thanks to the 4 kills that they have up over FlyQuest Academy, but already a much better game than we were seeing last time, Alk. I mean, at this point, you had, like a 7K differential in favor of Dignitas Academy, so having a little bit more frontline, a little bit more initiation and survivability available from FlyQuest has really helped them out this game.
Ooh, and look at what they're doing. They're setting up a trap. They're waiting for someone to walk into river, walk into the jungle, and make a pick. But not in time. Dignitas Academy quite deftly get away from that, and they're able to live. Nothing really happens on the bot side. Turret plates should be going down in under a minute and a half. And the Drakes, I mean, if you want to say like, oh, they got the Drake, they got the first dragon, they could potentially go for a dragon stack win, but that's going to be at 27, 28 minutes if they're doing them on spawn and as quickly as possible. So it's going to be a long time before FlyQuest have a secondary win condition, and with Cloud Drake up next, I think an Ocean Soul might be able to help them, but neither of these souls are really going to do all that much for them. So I think FlyQuest still need to find other avenues, whether that means crashing some waves into topside and trying to get Ornn behind, or more specifically get Philip some gold. That'd be nice. But I think finding something on the Sligo is a little more enticing. Flash.
Flash forward
Teleports.
along with the solar flare to come out. Sligo is going to throw the ultimate onto the backside towards Triple, who has to disconnect from this fight. The teleport coming through from Lorlo as well. FlyQuest might have recognized pretty early on that that would not go as successfully as they had anticipated with the addition of more members of Dignitas.
Hey, and the meantime, like we teleported, and there's no Drake fight. There's nothing going on. There's just going to be plates given over, and Spawn, who, I mean, Spawn, not only in this series, but is now found in another series from last week against Immortals, was basically solo dominating a lot of the matchups in the bot lane. We'll be able to get so much gold off of this. They're going to wait for another wave, and just depriving Johnson and Dreams of resource and gold is so important, but this dive needs to work for FlyQuest.
See if it does. The Dominus is activated immediately to
dead.
that forward. So the call of the Forge God is still going to land. In comes Sligo as well. Not even needed though, because Lorlo finds a double kill and takes that red buff.
Lorlo with the solo bolo and with Sligo over top to try and help him with the 1v2. I think he could have potentially done it just by himself, but you know, sometimes you need to call in your friends. Philip and NXI, they recognize that this game is looking a little doomed, so they try to go for something. They try to get this wave under the turret and try to go for this dive. I mean, it takes so long to kill Ornn when you're just getting CC'd, stunned, airborne. I mean, you get brittle stacks as well doing max HP. This is just supreme desperate here for them, as Dream's gonna get caught out. He's going down.
Early going down there, a stun onto Will, but no damage taken by this Trundle yet. Johnson,
oh my
however,
god,
with those
Johnson.
autos dealing so much damage. JJ's gonna have to walk away from this one. Will recognizing that he is not made of stone. Might be able to forge it, but
we're re-engaging.
JJ has to flash away. That is a kill. That's Ignite from Dreams, so Dreams will find themselves one and the flash out of JJ.
All right, that's it's a bittersweet victory because they did get a kill, and that's nice. And it's a little bit of a confidence booster to say, hey, look, we can find something. They're being a little bit greedy in a lot of these circumstances, some of these circumstances for Dignitas Academy. But the kill goes over to Leona. Right now, you need gold onto Johnson as this Aphelios, as this potential hyper carry as we get later into the game. But 16 minutes in, it's a potential turret. It's a potential first turret. Oh, Minion just barely... Dude, what is this turret HP? Show it to us. 38. Oh no, Philip, it's one auto attack. It'll be fine probably in the next wave, but oh no. That's heartbreaking.
Being able to get that before, early on for the dragon spawn would be nice because you got 50 seconds until that. Lorlo is here to prevent Philip from getting in. I mean, totally worth taking tower shots. The lane is not pressured far enough. It's actually now stalled out about 50-50 as both waves should meet relatively soon, a little bit further forward for Dignitas Academy. So not quite where FlyQuest Academy wanted. They didn't get that tower. First tower was taken by DIGA, but the gold is not nearly as bad as it was last game. Clearly, FlyQuest Academy is finding a lot more successes, and I think a lot of it has to do with these cheeky plays. They're making a lot of these potentially time-wasting plays where you're sitting in a bush, you're anticipating maybe the enemy coming through their own jungle, but they found a lot of successes off of those fights.
This game is also just significantly different that Saligo cannot just permanently live in topside and make Philip feel pretty bad. Johnson, they're going to be able to go in here. Has Flash, has Cleanse. Has to live.
Flashes away. Out comes the Solar Flare. Teleport coming through, but that is just too much damage onto Dreams. It's going to be NXI who jumps forward. Another flash right there. Means JJ and Spawn both get taken down.
Saligo's here.
Over to Triple Flash as well. FlyQuest Academy finding themselves more success. NXI taking a bit of damage, but it won't be enough. Will goes down. Saligo has to back away from this fight.
I need to see a little bit how that fight went, but the fact that Johnson is able to live for so long is incredibly important for FlyQuest. And Dignitas get a little bit too high fee, think that they can try to make this play. I think correctly so when you have someone like this. I want to see how this happens. So, okay, so JJ goes in, doesn't get the charm yet. All of this damage, they're going straight onto Dreams afterwards. Spawn is able to do a little bit of damage, gets, completely obliterated by NXI and Triple. The roaming death squad for FlyQuest Academy, who have found so much success between each other. I love seeing it. Wait, hold up. During the replay, Johnson is dead on the floor. So, I guess we're going to have to get another replay, observers. I guess we're just going to have to see how Johnson died. They're teleporting. We're fighting, Jolly.
Not just yet. Not just yet. Will finds Dreams out, and that is absolutely a dead Leona. Who's going to get it, though? Will be Saligo who finds that one. I believe with Scatter the Weak. Blasco's going to be used to get Lorlo.
Triple.
And Will over to Triple. Call the Forge God comes out. A nice little grand entrance, but Triple is able to dash away.
Oh!
Flash forward, and Lorlo goes in. Triple might be able to escape this one. JJ
this is so
gets
good for
locked
them.
Down there. Philip finds JJ. Lorlo has no mana. The teleport.
Oh my God, Philip. No.
Will might be able to save Lorlo.
No.
Philip going down there after Will comes out of the bush, and a beautiful teleport from Saligo followed up by a flash will find another kill. So Dignitas come out ahead in that fight.
Even before all of this play in the top side, they were setting up for this. I think Dignitas were willing to just grab the second Herald. The second Herald is way more important than this second Drake here because they want to be able to break turrets. Let's see what happens. So, okay, so Johnson just gets hit by a Scatter the Weak and dies instantly. That's just regular marksman play. Everybody at home, you probably have experienced that once or twice in your own games. And now we get to see what exactly this next play is. They know that Saligo's a little bit weak. Some summoner spells needs to be able to blow that flash. The Dreams, greedy positioning here. I can kind of excuse this just because you're trying to look for a dive under the turret, but this really delays Dignitas from getting that second Herald, which ended up going over to FlyQuest, if I'm correct. And this is just great coordination. This is just great coordination from them.
Quickness,
get the
too.
pillar, get the pillar right into the knockup, and moment of silence here for Philip. Loses sight, can't auto attack because Fog of War, pain.
And a beautiful pillar as well. You got to consider from Will there. I just cannot point out enough how young this player is. This player literally just spent all day at school, rode the bus home, immediately hopped online to, clearly to dominate right now.
Make
and I
some
say that
dubs.
with a dominance on the other side. FlyQuest Academy, though, they have been doing a good job of trying to stall out Dignitas Academy. I think the only problem they're experiencing now is that the response from DIGA is just too darn quick. They're finding some really solid fights. They're finding some really good kickouts. But the remaining members of Dignitas immediately respond to that fight. and end up coming out ahead in what seems like a FlyQuest favored fight. So something needs to happen here. FlyQuest needs to group up. They are going to once again put a lot of focus on invading this bottom side, trying to get bottom side pressure and mid pressure. This game a lot more successful for that. So many opportunities for them to continue on down here. It is just going to be very painful with Lorlo up there on the top side. Shelly coming out there, you were absolutely right. It was the Dragon and the Rift Herald picked up there by FlyQuest Academy.
FlyQuest get a... I think this was a very early, because they wanted to have triple. They want to set up for bot priority. Like we said, JJ wants to look for an engage. Lorlo's behind.
There it is. Call the Forge God.
Spawn's
going
dead.
To find 2 members. The root comes through. Will taking down a triple. Spawn goes down. Out comes the Solar Flare onto the backside. It's going to be a beautiful charm, though, from the quickness. And
Aphelios is free firing.
Lorlo taking another one. Johnson will go down.
Right.
Saligo just needs to come down and say, yeah, okay, I can Q, I can W, or I can, scatter the weak. You dreams on the run. Won't get very far, though, because JJ manages jump over the wall, and Will finds yet another kill. Dignitas Academy going from a somewhat even kill spread to really just taking over the game.
If they wait even 5 to 10 seconds just for this mid lane, for the wave to come in, this could potentially been a mid turret, and it is so important for them to get this mid tier 1 when you look at their composition, when you want Renekton and LeBlanc on side lanes. LeBlanc needs to be able to have that kind of pressure when mid tier 1, it provides so much safety for Dignitas. As we see, Saligo comes into the back half of this fight just to throw in a Kobe and walks right back out as they chase Dreams. This was a little bit scary just because Aphelios was able to free fire, but the amount of HP that Lorlo and Will have is able to negate a lot of that damage. And I mean, for right now, FlyQuest, they are at the beck and call of whatever Dignitas Academy wants to do. It is on Dignitas to find, it is on FlyQuest to find good engages, find good picks with this LeBlanc and with NXI. And I think this Baron being started up just by the tankiest members, Dreams gets a little bit of a hint. He says, hey, they might be doing this. NXI's bot lane. They have double teleport in their solo lane. They could potentially go for this. But Dignitas need to be very careful with how they I think they just want to have a fight. They just want to start up a fight somehow.
Oh, yeah, they love to entice these fights around the Baron. But they do have it relatively low now, so this might be the time for Dignitas to try to commit to this one. It is going to be JJ who ends up using the quickness to try to escape from the fight here. Call the Forge God will hit 2 members there in NXI, and Dreams, a beautiful piercing arrow, gets a lot of damage on as well. While the Baron resets, FlyQuest Academy at least stopped that from going down in favor of Dignitas. No kills across the board. Triple, maybe going back in. No, JJ jumps over the wall, trying to respond to that, but hey, you know what? That's what LeBlanc does to you. I think they call her the Deceiver.
I think. Maybe.
Yeah, that's her name, the Deceiver.
Okay, that might feel very strange just because it's about 2,500 gold. I think it's really good patience from Dignitas Academy. The fact that they didn't do that barrage just because they know NXI can come over the wall and go potentially for a steal, even in full vision, that might just have been a bait, and it's a potential win condition or, a comeback position for FlyQuest Academy. If they get that Baron, it stalls out the game for a little bit longer. And Saligo and NXI are in very strange positions right now just because NXI can get engaged upon, has to flash out. Saligo's here.
Flashing from a grand entrance. That is rough, but it is
Philip
3,
is TPing.
potentially 4 members now. All 5 as they get a pinch, but Philip might go in a little bit early. The Dominus comes out. Spawn finds the kill before the rest of FlyQuest Academy can even join in on the fight. That was a teleport, a flash, and
oh my God,
Dominus
Lorlo.
Philip, who got nothing. NXI now is going to throw a little bit of a thumbs up right back over at Will. The Crescent Guards try to prevent Dignitas Academy from going in on this, but the pillar will add a slow. Will find the one, a flash forward from Triple and a flash, a response immediately by Spawn. Gonna call Forge God on the backside. Triple getting taken down instantly by Saligo. And now only 2 members left for FlyQuest. Means Dignitas Academy should have a free easy Baron.
And Philip just goes in a little early. Triple cannot supplement his damage. And I mean, right now, FlyQuest Academy, they're going to get kind of commission gifts right now. They're going to get the mid-tier 1. They're going to get themselves a dragon and put themselves at Soul Point. But I don't know if it matters. Dignitas, you have Saligo who's going godlike on Syndra. They're going to get a Baron. They're going to put themselves at about, I want to say almost 10,000 gold after they back and redeploy onto the map. We're going to be able to watch this fight again. NXI and Philip are just way too far up here. Now with no flash, Dreams, This is such a good ultimate from Dreams if there are more members here. But look at where Triple is. Triple's not able to deal damage right now. Johnson is nowhere near this fight. So you have 2 out of your 3 damage members not able to participate in this one. And then the rest of this is just like Dignitas, we've been talking about it, the Dignitas highlight reel. They just get to walk FlyQuest around the map, get to kill them, find more of these picks. And I like the gumption from Triple, right? He's been blowing up spawn in a lot of these, but is not able to find the last chain. And it just leads to FlyQuest slowly getting, I mean, not even slowly, kind of aggressively getting choked out of this one.
So much disruption, interruption from Dignitas Academy. So even when it looks and feels good for FlyQuest Academy going into these fights, you get the pillar from it from Will on Trundle. You know, you get Call the Forge God from Lorlo there on the Ornn. And that's not even including Scout of the Week from Soligo, you know, the quickness with that charm, as well as, you know, just the grand entrance on the W from JJ. So just so much interruption, charm, initiation, and an ability to prevent somebody like Triple, who does have an advantage in a lot of these fights with such a hard backline and such a hard frontline on Dignitas Academy. It ensures that Triple's not able to do his job as well as he's been playing.
Yeah. And now, I mean, Dignitas Academy, they're on the verge of continuing their win streak, continuing to show that they are the real deal here in Proving Grounds, and are looking to 2-0 FlyQuest and continue in the upper bracket. This is huge for a team that is the 11th seed, had to play throughout Unified Grand Prix as they didn't make top 8. This is huge.
Insane, so much damage onto NXI. It's not going to get Unleash Power that gets the kill right there. JJ taking him down. Dominus coming through. A nice solar flare though, and a Cold and Meek will find one for Philip before he ends up going down. Triple now running away from Will, who ends up picking up that kill earlier on. Triple will stay alive, along with Dreams here, but only one summoner spell available as Dreams uses the flash right there, tries to get in with the Q and the Zenith Blade, but it won't be enough. Spawn picks up the kill. A tower immediately destroyed. There's a grand entrance as an attempt from JJ, who is very low. Someone might be able to find one kill, but this does spell the end of the game right here. Triple finds one. Triple finds a second one on that, but still 2 members of Dignitas Academy means that the game will end, and it will result in a 2-0 sweep with FlyQuest Academy going down.
Wow. I thought this was going to be a lot closer of a match. FlyQuest have been showing some, they've had some hardships, especially in that Zoo series. We got to see them struggle a little bit for their win. But, I mean, we're get to see in these highlights, Soligo with a lot of patience and punishment against Triple, who has gotten a lot of resources. We haven't been able to turn this. I mean, this is just really good play coming out from the side of Dignitas, and some punishing going on to what we've seen from FlyQuest Academy.
It's going really well. I mean, the cards are stacked and have been for Dignitas in a while. We just talked about, yeah, they had to fight their way through UGP, but they won 12 of the 14 matchups in that UGP run. So very, very quickly finding their footing, and at no point are they losing it here. You gotta point out how well Lorlo's doing. I mean, these are a lot of big names that we have seen across LCS, across Academy teams, and I think right now Dignitas has found the cohesion that they require to have that step up above a lot of the teams right now. But luckily for us, this isn't the last matchup of the day. You know, it was a 2-0 sweep, but we do have another best of 3 after this. I mean, it's Lorlo highlight reels. That's what this all feels like.
Dignitas is the real deal. All the people who are coming out of Unified Grand Prix, they're like, okay, they beat up on some amateur teams. They beat up on some of the Academy teams who are here. What of it? What is there to prove? But Dignitas, from even spring, so many people had their eyes on this roster. They were like, Dignitas is not looking so good. But the time that they've taken in between spring and summer, the ability for them to be a more cohesive team has just, I mean, shown off and paid off in spades here for them. They are head and shoulders looking like one of the best, if not the front runners, to win all of Proving Grounds. It's a little bit early, but still, I mean, we're waiting across the bracket. I want to see this team go up against some of our best amateur teams, and I'm looking specifically at Wildcard Red. That should be a fun matchup, but I mean, what can I say? Dignitas, they're winning back-to-back, and until they lose, this is the team to beat. This is the truth.
Absolutely, yeah. The 3 or 4. I mean, so far in Proving Grounds, they are undefeated. That alone is a great thing to have a claim for your name as this team of Dignitas Academy. The consistency is absolutely insane. And, you know, you can't discount FlyQuest Academy. Based on the first game, we're looking at like 21, maybe 22 minutes, I think, in game number 1, with a huge gold lead at less than 10 minutes into the game. This one was so much closer, and there were a lot of really good fights coming out of FlyQuest Academy. I talked about it in the middle of the game, though. There was just a lot of response, immediate responses from Dignitas in acknowledging, okay, we can win this, or no, we're just gonna lose out. Hey, we got to teleport from the other team. And we can continue to make these proactive plays and then react appropriately to what FlyQuest Academy does try to do. And since they were aware that a lot of the focus was towards the bottom side, it was really easy for Dignitas to just say, okay, we'll take the top side. We'll focus on getting Shelly and, you know, the Baron and whatnot. You guys can have the Dragons. And this fight was a really good proof of just how cohesive this team is. Again, you've got the teleport coming through. A lot of teams would be like, oh, get behind it. No, they stopped right in front. They said, we can actually take down Philip before the rest of their team is able to catch up with us. They did just that.
The game kind of just collapsed really early on in both of these games. And for FlyQuest, I want to see what a little bit more time, maybe in the lower bracket, they get some, you know, they might get that lower bracket buff. But against a team who has been able to play more consistently with the roster, I guess the most roster hiccups that Dignitas have had is Will subbing in and coming in to try to replace Acadian. I mean, we saw it in last week's interview for FlyQuest. Johnson, one of the things that, you know, plagued this team for a little bit was they had to play with a little bit of a cannibalized roster. They lost. He was playing with Palafox and Jose Diodo, had to play with some different mid jungles. This is going to be a really huge, I think, proving point for FlyQuest going further into the lower bracket, if they can stay relevant, if they can continue to find dominance, because they won the regular season of Academy. They were #1 in the regular season, and they went 3rd, 4th in playoffs against the Dignitas, who is completely surging right now. I think it's, I want to see a little bit more out of FlyQuest. I don't want to write them out quite yet.
Yeah, absolutely not. Don't write this out. And again, you know, you've had so many changes, adjustments to the FlyQuest team, and so many swap arounds for these players that it's great to see them still doing well. They came in as 3rd seed. Yeah, a lot of people are like, whoa, 3rd to 11th. Like, you guys are getting styled on by an 11th seed team, but that's only because of, you know, the prior to UGP kind of stuff. Otherwise, the seeding certainly would have been much closer. And in fact, I do believe at that point, FlyQuest would be below Dignitas in seeding, including the UGP here. So starting things out really well for Dignitas. Once again, they are undefeated right now in Proving Grounds. This is week 2, day 2, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but if I'm right, please do. And I like to see the adjustments too. You had Dignitas saying, all right, that Rakan, not great, we'll take it. And then really allow the power for that second draft phase to go in the hands of FlyQuest Academy. They said, okay, we're gonna pick up the Varus, standard early pick, and we're going to see what you guys lock in and then pick a few more safe kind of, you know, you had the flexibility in the Trundle pick as that second pick there for Dignitas Academy. So I think their understanding of how they're going into other teams right now is just a little bit a level above some of the other teams, especially ones that have had, like I mentioned, adjustments to their roster pretty consistently throughout this whole season.
I think also FlyQuest for their Academy team, I mean, Philip coming in has filled a lot of shoes, has shown is still developing, obviously, and we saw this game did not have the best game in both of them, but definitely received a lot of resources from the enemy team. You have Twisted Fate in the first game, which makes that matchup incredibly difficult to try and play very aggressively as the Jace, and the Renekton this time was picked blind. You'd have a little bit of a tougher situation up against Ornn, couldn't do a lot more, and we're seeing it's kind of punishing for FlyQuest when they can't get NXI going and Philip going. But I really want to see, once we get further on into the tournament, what they do with the mid lane, because Triple has consistently been able to keep himself relevant in the game when it comes to the damage, when it comes to keeping up in gold, but they haven't been able to transition that into bigger game leads, and I think it all falls in being able to crack the tier 1 mid turret. Time and time again, when you saw their matchup against Zeus, they still weren't able to get that, so it made side laning incredibly difficult, and in this series, we saw it again. Not being able to get mid turret means that Ryze, means that LeBlanc have a much harder time pushing onto the side and punishing for, you know, taking some more vision, getting some more of those camps away from the enemy jungler. I think it makes it
Yep.
very difficult to try and play a split game, which FlyQuest tend to do when you look at some of the compositions they draft. Jace, Camille, Aatrox
Oh,
in the top
yeah.
lane, Ryze, LeBlanc, a little bit of Azir as well. It's really hard if you cannot get that mid-tier one, and it kind of just blew open the game as we saw.
Yep, we saw it time and time again, actually. Both of those games, first it was the Jace for Philip, second it was the Renekton, trying to get split push towards the bottom. Jace, good at that. Maybe not the best split pushers. We're looking really heavily like towards Camille right now, is probably one of the best by far, in my opinion, especially with her hook shot and her mobility. But it didn't really work out, and I feel like what Dignitas decided there, as I mentioned before, Dignitas is like, all right, we'll take top. You guys go ahead. FlyQuest, keep trying to push out this bottom lane. They wouldn't really even send a responder to the bottom lane. What they would do is stack up all 5 on the top, pick out 1 or 2 members of FlyQuest Academy, and then it's like, all right, now it's your guys' choice. Either, like in that first game, you continue with the Ryze to try to push out bottom and see if maybe you can pull some of these members off, or you recognize that at the end of the day, you have less players on the field. And so you have to kind of adjust and move around according to that team that has a pretty heavy advantage. And I felt like it was a good attempt by FlyQuest Academy to say, hey, let's take what we can get here. But none of that pressure towards the bottom side ever really led to anything aside from maybe a dragon take. And Dignitas was totally okay with giving those up, saying that's fine. We're pressuring the top side. We're pressuring the mid side. I think FlyQuest, there is a lot of promise on this team. There's a lot of promise with these individual players. I just want to see a little bit more cohesion, a little bit more communication, and probably a bit more confidence in the, teammates in these call outs. I want to know where their shots are getting called from. And yes, guys, we do have an interview that we are prepping right now. Very soon. I don't know if I'm supposed to reveal who it is. I can.
We can give them.
Yeah.
They've waited long enough. We're trying to get Saligo on the line. That'll happen sooner rather than later. But until then, I want to try to kind of prep, kind of send this off a little bit for FlyQuest. They're going to go obviously into the lower bracket, and Dignitas are going to continue on in the upper bracket. I want to make sure that I have their strength of schedule coming up rather soon. So going on, I mean, you obviously have another shot here for the side of Dignitas on to what you want to do. But if I'm correct, they're waiting for the winners. Okay, so there we go. So Dignitas Academy are going to be going against TLA, which that matchup, they're looking really, really sick. They're the first seed coming out from Academy, from the Academy playoffs, and that should be, I think, kind of the last straw for Dignitas Academy. If they can beat them, they are definitively one of, if not the best Academy squad that we have here in Proving Grounds.
Yeah, I think at this point it would pretty much solidify it. And while we've seen with a lot of the Academy teams, the amateur teams, even the professional teams, honestly, even these LCS teams, one quick thing can change, whether it's something in the meta, whether it is something within a particular player, or whether it is regarding the cohesion of the team overall. While Dignitas, I would say, if they can take down TL, and depending on how decisive it is, would probably lock in that recognition as you guys are the best in the current state. That can change in a week. We've seen it happen. We saw how well FlyQuest Academy was doing towards the beginning of this season. And then we can kind of see, just how growth within other teams and growth within teams that are also associated with, like the FlyQuest Academy, FlyQuest teams, that, some transitioning will adjust things. So I do think that we've got Saligo on the line, if I'm not mistaken.
Solly gang?
We do. No beautiful face, but we do have Saligo's here. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Awesome.
Excellent. I'm not going to do the standard how do you feel after that, because I'm assuming you guys feel pretty good. But I guess I will ask, were you guys expecting for both of those games to go so heavily in your favor, or were you anticipating a little bit more of a struggle?
To be honest, I thought, especially since FlyQuest went in as the third seed, that they would be a bit more prepared for us, and that they would have their own strategies going forward. But they kind of just let us do what we wanted to do both games, and it was just really, really easy for us.
It looked like it, especially game one. I was like, oh, we're just letting Saligo get Twisted Fate. He must be like, all right, cool. I'll take that one. That's for you, Saligo. I mean, you've kind of grown as you said before that you've grown into a new role onto this team, typically more of a, hey, I'm here to learn, but taking on a mentorship role. How has that changed going out from the end of Academy to now for your team? What has that role transformation been for you?
Yeah, so I think in the beginning when I first came onto the squad after like week 2 or week 3, it was like a lot of me teaching like the other guys like how I want them to like think about waves, how I want them to think about early game and all of that. I think now like everyone on the team has like a really good understanding now of like what they want to do and how they think the game should be played, and especially Will, I think he's grown a lot into like understanding the macro game from like a pro player perspective. So I think now I kind of just look more to just facilitate whatever my teammates are doing, and I think it's been like we have a really good balance right now of like players who want to do something and then players who are like facilitating others.
Yeah.
And I gotta ask, in terms of shot calling, I know that you're a pretty big shot caller on this team, correct?
Um, kind of.
Kind of. Do you guys have a primary shot caller? Do you have like one or two members where if there are shots being called, you guys are 100% behind them, 100% confident in their calls?
I would say that Sam or Lordlo is probably like our main shot caller. He definitely has like the loudest voice, and he's always like making sure to give energy to everyone else. But I think for outside of that, it's like I think me and Juan do a good job like keeping the flow of conversation up throughout the game, and like Sam is usually the one who like presses the go button for us.
Okay, cool. But there's a lot of confidence. I mean, you can tell a lot of confidence in those calls. Go ahead, Alk.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Sligo, do you have anything as we wrap this up? Do you have anything you want to say to your fans, the Dignitas team? Uh, any thanks?
Yeah, I just want to thank all of my teammates, of course, and my coaches for all of the hard work they put in. Special thanks to Acadian as well for kind of stepping down and helping us as well with like how we want to play the game. And of course, thank you to all my fans. Thank you to all the Dig fans, and thank you to my girlfriend.
Let's
Aw.
go. Hashtag
I
solid
love it.
game. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Oh, we're looking forward to seeing more from you guys and seeing you guys continue to climb because I don't know if you just heard, but we are certainly anticipating you guys to face off. You're going up against TL. So right as we wrap this, I got to ask this last one. Going into TL now, FlyQuest, clearly not as difficult as you had anticipated. How are you guys feeling about that upcoming match?
I definitely expect them to be a decently harder opponent, but I think
Mhm.
if we stick to what we're good at, I think we'll do well against TLA, and I think we'll end up surprising a lot of people for this entire tournament.
We'll see if you guys can solidify that first place slot, at least in people's perspective of how these games are going down. Thank you so much for joining us, Ligo. Congratulations on today's games, and I look forward to seeing more from you.
Thank you.
All right, very, very cool people on that team. I've connected with them a couple of times, and absolutely love to hear. There's confidence, but there's also quite a bit of humility in that team. We are going to take a very quick break, though. Before moving forward, we have another best of 3 today that is going to.
It's fine. Hey, don't
I'm
worry.
here
We've
for
got the
break.
last. Oh, she's back. All right,
I'm
guys, we're
back.
gonna send it to a break real quick, and we're back. We're gonna have Immortals Academy versus Zoos. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.